Hello, I'm Food Daniel. Here are my predictions for the WFA games to be played on June 13th, the final week of the regular season. Full slate of games, here we go. Okay, the West Michigan Mayhem at the Cleveland Fusion. Well, the game I'm going to mention right after this is the one everybody's talking about, but this could be a hell of a game. The West Michigan Mayhem have quietly put together an excellent season. They're 5-1. The Cleveland Fusion are also 5-1. This could be real good. I expect Cleveland to win, though. And I expect they'll win by 2 to 3 touchdowns. I mean, Cleveland, I'm still pretty impressed by that game against Boston they had where they lost by only 4 points. I don't think the Mayhem have played any opponents comparable to that except for the Chicago Force, and that didn't go very well for West Michigan. So I think Cleveland will win this one. But I think it'll be more exciting than folks expect. Okay, and the game everybody's waiting for, of course, the Boston Renegades, the DC Divas. Oh, yes. Okay, the Divas won their matchup earlier in the year in Boston. Let's see what happens this time. The Renegades, they had a bye week last week, but the week before that, they beat the Chicago Force in overtime in Chicago, 40-34. Close games for Boston. Great stuff. What's going to happen here? I'm going to go ahead and pick DC again. Yeah. I'm going to predict DC is going to win, and I'll predict it'll be by 1 touchdown or less. Yes, I'm going to predict that the game everybody's waiting for is going to be a thriller. Yes. I think DC will win that one. Hard to imagine Boston with 2 losses on the year. Okay, Detroit Dark Angels at the Columbus Comets. I really thought the Comets were going to win last week against West Michigan, but it didn't work out. As for the Detroit Dark Angels, I don't even see them anywhere here in the standings. I don't know what they're doing. I know they've won a couple games. Oh, they won last week against the Derby City Dynamite, 26-18. A good close game, yes. I love both of these teams. I love the Dark Angels and the Comets. I got friends on both teams. I'm going to go ahead and predict the Comets will win this game. I can't imagine the Comets going 0-8. No. Comets will win this game. Yeah. And it'll be by 2 touchdowns or less. Yeah. Okay, Minnesota Machine at the Kansas City Titans. Okay, the Titans coming off of a 35-22 loss to the St. Louis Slam. Yeah, in recent years, the Slam have gained the upper hand in the Missouri battle, huh? While the Minnesota Machine... Oh, wait, these two teams played each other 2 weeks ago in Minnesota, and Kansas City won 36-22. Okay, well, that naturally makes KC the obvious favorite, given that this is a home game. So, yeah, I'll say KC by 2 or 3 touchdowns. Derby City Dynamite at the Indy Crash. Now the Dynamite, the season's been a step backwards for them, 0-6. While the Indy Crash, they're still good at 4-2. Although I do notice they're 4-2, but they've been outscored on the season 129-117. I'm guessing that too is a result of their game against the Force, which knocked that points against thing out of kilter. I expect Indy to win this game. Again, I'll say by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Indy Crash will win. Although I'd like to see Derby City win because I hate seeing a team go 0-8. I know it happens at semi-pro level, but still, I don't like seeing it. Okay, here's a game that could be good. The Atlanta Phoenix at the Jacksonville Dixie Blues. The Atlanta Phoenix are a deceptive 3-3. They're better than that. The Jacksonville Dixie Blues, they're powerful 5-1. But I think this is going to be a rather difficult win for Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville will win, but I think it'll be rather difficult. They did play each other in Week 2 in Atlanta. Jacksonville won 24-10. I'll say that'll be so too here. That'll be so here, too. I'll predict Jacksonville by 2 touchdowns or less. Atlanta will make a fight of this. Oh, yeah. Here's another very interesting game in Florida. The Tampa Bay Inferno versus the Miami Fury. Miami Fury in first place at 5-1. The Inferno right behind them at 4-2. This will be a good game. This will be a real good game. Let's see what they did earlier in the season. Let's see. They met each other in week 2 in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay won 21-13. Real close game. I think Miami's going to give it back to them. I'm going to predict Miami will win by 1 touchdown or less. Yes. Okay, also in Florida, here's a game that may or may not happen. The Daytona Wave Runners, the Orlando Anarchy. Now, the Anarchy, they've forfeited their past several games. Yes, they've forfeited their last 3 games. When a team forfeits 3 games in a row, I got to assume they're done. I hope it ain't so, though. While the Wave Runners, they lost last week 66-0. They are playing their games. They're not very competitive, but, they're playing. They're hanging in there. Well, in week 5, they lost to Miami 33-19. I remember being surprised by that. Okay, so I'll predict Daytona to win this game if it gets played, but I'll predict it won't get played. Hope I'm wrong, though. St. Louis Slam at the Chicago Force. Okay, I know the Slam were on an absolute high after beating Kansas City. I love that Missouri battle. Everybody does. But, that high is going to end. They're not going to get past the Chicago Force. Force will win this game. Gruesomely. Hope I'm mistaken, though. I hope the Slam put up some points against him, but I don't expect it. Gruesome win by the Force. Gruesome. Okay, Dallas Elite at the Austin Outlaws. Gruesome win for Dallas. Gruesome. South Texas Lady Crushers at the Houston Power. Like the Orlando Anarchy, the Crushers, they do have a couple forfeits, but not as many as Orlando. They have played 2 weeks ago. They played against Austin and lost 57-0. They did forfeit last week against Dallas, which I would understand completely as a safety move. My God. But even if they play, gruesome win for the Houston Power. Gruesome. But again, for a first-year team, I hope Lady Crushers aren't disappointed. First-year team, that can happen. That can happen, especially in a place that's remote enough where I'm assuming there aren't too many veterans on this Lady Crusher team because it's Corpus Christi is pretty remote. Hang in there, Lady Crushers. Arkansas Wildcats, the Arlington Impact. Now the Wildcats with a 2-4 record, and they've been outscored by well over a 2-1 margin versus the 4-2 Arlington Impact. Arlington will win this game, and I'll say by 4 or 5 touchdowns. Acadiana Zydeco at the Tulsa Threat. I've said it before. When these two teams match up, it's almost always a close game, and it will be this time too. I'll predict Tulsa by 2 touchdowns or less. That'll be a good close game. That'll be a very exciting game for those two teams to end the season on. Acadiana, well, they can't feel too bad if they lose. They've already got first place sewn up. They've won the division. It's great stuff. I still remember that very first season where they went winless, and when they finally did get a win the second year, the Peasants rejoiced. It's good to see Acadiana is now top of the division. Good stuff. Everett Rain at the Tacoma Trauma. This will be an interesting game. Everett at 2-4, Tacoma at 5-1. But I just get the sense these two teams are closer in skill until I look at what happened 2 weeks ago when Tacoma beat them in Everett 35-0. Now last week Tacoma went on the road to the Utah Blitz and beat the Blitz 24-0. If that's because something unusual has happened to their roster, that might make a difference. But I'm going to suspect, only 24 points against the Blitz. That's probably because not as many players made the huge-ass drive to Utah. So yeah, I'll guess Tacoma will win the game. And I'll say by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Wouldn't mind being proven wrong, though. I got friends on the Rain. I like the Rain. Seattle Majestics at the Portland Shockwave. Well, 2 weeks ago, the Majestics beat the Shockwave in Seattle 32-0. Seattle's undefeated on the year. The Shockwave are still, solid at 3-2, but 3-2. Okay, 3-2 is what it says. But yeah, it's another undefeated season for the Majestics. They'll win this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. Yeah. Sin City Sun Devils at the Utah Blitz. I know you're sick of hearing me say it because I say it every week, but it bears saying again. It's unbelievable how many bad breaks the Utah Blitz have suffered this year, but they still hang in there. That is absolutely incredible. They still hang in there. You watch. The Blitz will surely rise again, just not this year. And the Sin City Sun Devils, well, the first year of their, rebranding under new ownership, they got crushed by the good teams and they crushed the lousy teams. So they're 3-3 now in this game. They'll win this game by, I'm going to say 4 or 5 touchdowns. Because I think they'll have a reasonably full roster. Because it's like a 6 or 7 hour drive to Utah. Yeah. Okay. San Diego Surge, the Central Cal War Angels. If it wasn't for an IWFL game I'm going to go to just an hour from where I live, this is the game I'd go to. I'm really bummed I'm not going to this game because that means if I want to see the Surge this year, I'm going to have to drive to San Diego during the summertime, and that's always just a pain in the ass. But I'll do it anyway. Surge the War Angels. Surge will win this game, of course. But the War Angels play well too, and they'll score a ton of points. Well, not a ton of points, but a ton of points against San Diego standards. San Diego will win by 4 or 5 touchdowns. But that's okay. Warriors are still the War Angels are still a real powerful team. I didn't expect that at the start of the year. They're far better than I expected. Good stuff. Pacific Warriors, the Arizona Assassins. Hey, I am thrilled that the Assassins have had the season they've had this year. 2-4, which puts them in first place atop a 3-team division where nobody's particularly good. I still remember last year where they couldn't even complete their games because they had so few people, but now here they are, going up against reasonably comparable teams and coming away with a couple wins. But they're not going to come out with anywhere close to a win against the Pacific Warriors because, as I said last week, the Warriors, when they took last year off, I thought they were done for the season. But they come back, they're better than ever now. And that's not just a cliche. I don't think they have never played as good as they're playing now. Yes. And they'll win this game gruesomely. Gruesome. Yes. And finally, the West Coast Lightning at the Ventura Wolfpack. All right. Two below average teams duking it out at the end of the season. They're going to have a great time of it. I predict West Coast Lightning will win by 3 to 4 touchdowns. And that completes my predictions for WFA games to be played on June 13th. Thank you.